Yes, Amish electricians are real, and yes, an Amish electrician did all of the lights that you see in my barn. Just in this main space alone, there are 30 different lights and 2 different exit lights that an Amish electrician named Jacob, very Amish, not Mennonite, did for my barn earlier this year. Not to mention he did all of the lights outside of my barn. There's a bunch of these, as well as floodlights to illuminate the parking lot and the back side of the barn so I can just see what's going on out there near the bunnies and the chickens. When I knew it was time for the electrician to come to my barn, first before the barn had been closed in on so that he could do the wiring on the inside of the wall, I am not an electric expert, I did not imagine it would be an Amish person. Yes, an Amish brother duo oversaw the construction of this whole barn, but I thought for sure they would subcontract the electric work out to a non-Amish person, or as they like to call us, English folks. Even if you're not British, they just call us all English. So when the day came that an Amish man showed up with his tool belt on, ready to do the electric in my barn, I was just as shocked as the internet has been. People keep calling it an oxymoron of sorts because these people don't live with electric. But as I have learned throughout working with them, they are the most capitalist people I've ever met in my entire life. Nothing comes between them and their businesses and their crafts. Nothing comes between them being excellent at what they do and going above and beyond. So in the case of electricity, even though they don't live with it, it doesn't mean it has held them back from learning the art of it so that they can provide a better job as a builder, as a general contractor, or as an excavation company. Like all of the Amish that I've worked with, the electrician was beyond kind, helpful, informative, patient with me. When the day came for him to install these chandeliers in here, there are 7 total. He looked at me and said, "How low down do you want them to hang from the ceiling?" And I said, "You know what, Jacob, I actually hadn't thought about it. What do you think looks best?" I did that a lot with them throughout this project because they obviously know more about construction and buildings than I do. So I would say to them all the time, do what you think looks best. And obviously what they think looks best. And he said, "How about, what? I'm going to install the chandeliers and have you come in and you tell me if you like them or not. If you don't, I will go back and redo all 7 of them until we get them exactly where you want them to be." I just stared at him incredulously because I've just never in my life really had professionals or kind of anyone care that much to please me or accommodate me. And I just said, okay, great. And obviously his first go at it, I go, "They look perfect. You don't need to do any more." And then the worst thing of all happened in June when the barn had been closed in on. Okay, like fully done, the wood was done, everything was done. And the town comes in here one day and goes, "You need exit lights." And me and the Amish and everyone go, "What? You tell us this now? You've been coming to the property since February. You tell us this now?" Jacob told me in order to put in these exit lights, there's possibly going to be exposed cords because we have a tough situation here. And then there's also an exit light right there. Don't mind my mess right now. And I said to him, "Jacob, I totally understand this is not your fault that this happened at all. And I know you're just doing the best that you can." I was obviously kind of bummed to think that there was going to be cords coming out of the exit light up to there. I was like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll hang plants in front of it. We can make this work." I came in the barn one day and I saw the exit lights put in the wall like that with no cords. And I said, "Jacob, oh my God, how did you do that? Oh my God, I cannot believe you just did that." He went up into the ceiling. There's a door right up there in the loft. He went up into the ceiling, crawled through the spray foam insulation to wire down to the exit light. Same thing with the one over there so that there would be no exposed cords. And I just said to him, you know what, I can never repay you for that. That just saved the whole presentation of this barn in a lot of ways. And he was like, "How could I not do that for you? This space is gorgeous. We couldn't have any cords exposed like that." And that's just one of the so many stories I have to share from working with these guys. If you like me sharing these stories, I'm happy to share more. I am not making any of them up. If anything, I'm probably not communicating quite how unbelievable they were because there's not even words for it. There's really not. He also did these lantern lights that me and the brothers found on Amazon. That is right, they found them on Amazon. Same with the chandeliers. We're on Amazon, and then you can see that there's bay lights, and they even found Bluetooth fans. Yes, they are Bluetooth. You can play music out of them, and they are fans when we need a little airflow in here because I do not have air conditioning, but you barely need air conditioning in this part of upstate New York. Before he was done, he also did electricity in the bunny shed. He put in an outlet and a light for me, which I use every single day now, and I hadn't even asked him to do that. And he was in charge of bringing the electric from the pole that was installed June 6, 2024. We cut it really close. He brought the electric from the pole into the property here. And then the Amish excavation company dug the electric line. So there's no ugly cords hanging from the utility pole, from the electric pole at the road into my barn, because these guys care about aesthetics, really, presentation and beauty more than anyone in our modern society. Like we threw beauty out the door 30 years ago. Any new building, any new thing I see built in society today, beauty has been just tossed into the river. And I find that these guys are some of the last remaining groups in our country that are still putting beauty over profit. From my own experience, I haven't really found that with any other builders or building companies. Everyone's just kind of resorted to how cheaply and how quickly can we build something to make the most amount of money with zero regard for architecture, aesthetics, fixtures, or anything like that. There is my beautiful electric pole that was installed in June. It was quite the battle to get this done, let me tell you, with the electric provision company, which is called National Grid in my area. And the county was a pain in the butt too. National Grid and the county fought each other, and I almost didn't get an electric permit, which means I would not have gotten electric, and that was not gonna be a fun time for me. Before I sign off, someone's gonna say, why don't you have solar panels? Please look up the sun exposure in Saratoga County, New York. It is virtually non-existent. It's certainly not strong 6 months out of the year. This just isn't a great solar place. Solar would not be able to power 2,600 square foot space behind me, host events, all the things that I'm hoping and wanting to do here. So yes, solar's great. I'm not a hater of renewable energy. It just wasn't an option for the structure without, huge makeshift batteries plugged into X, Y, and Z. I am going for aesthetics here. I don't want ugly dystopian solar panels, scattered all around my property to hopefully get, the right amount of voltage to turn on 3 lights. I understand it's usable in the desert and in smaller structures, and for a tiny house, I'm sure it works great. But this was just my personal experience. I love my electricity. Thank you, Thomas Edison. If we ever have to go off grid, we'll deal with that then. I have my own personal solar panel here. I have a Jackery and a port. So I am not totally without solar, and I am a fan of, I want to get some solar lights and all of that. I'm not a solar hater. It just was not going to work for me here. A lot of people think solar is this perfect solution that's going to help everything that they ever need to do, and it really has a long way to go before it is able to be supportive for something like this in a region like the Northeast or upstate New York. Basically, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because someone is Amish does not mean they are not a killer electrician. This guy was unbelievable. I've had 0 issues with the electric in my barn since he completed his work here. He obviously went very carefully, very intentionally, like all Amish do, and it's been perfect. There's been 0 issues with it, and I can't sing the praises of Amish electricians enough. So if you think calling up the Amish and asking them to do electricity at your place, at your structure seems crazy, it's not. Call them up. You will be surprised. You really will. Also, somebody asked on the last video for more Smokey, so there she is. She's sleeping over there. With that, I have so much more content coming your way. $24 trillion worth of farmland is now for sale over the next 20 years. Farmers are retiring. We have a land revolution upon us in the United States of America, and I would much rather you guys buy it and build barns and build tiny homes than corporations or foreign entities that want to do anything but ecologically farm the property that they're buying. Believe me. Oh, to be a cat in a barn. Bye.